straight off a flight. I am the caregiver for my 85-year-old mother in Las Vegas, and I had the brilliant idea for Mother's Day of buying 2 adopted puppies. So she has a 2-year-old Chihuahua and a 4-year-old Chihuahua, Lucy and Taco. And that was very smart of me to do. So trust me, I am here after running miles to catch one of them. And we're good. So just know I'm on fumes now, so I just wanted to thank you all. I definitely want to have bring a huge shout out to Megan Newhouse. I would not be here if it hadn't been for her. So I want to say thank you for having me here as the keynote. So first though, I would like to really talk, I think my clicker is supposed to be here. Oh, there it is. I really want to talk to the young ladies first. So I'm going to talk to you directly, and then I'm talking to everyone else. I believe most of the young ladies are here. So I grew up in Downers Grove. Went to Downers Grove South. When I grew up there, I'm much older than you. I'm 52 years old. So when I grew up there, I was one of the first black families in Downers Grove. So I was the only black student all the way to junior high. Junior high was considered 7th and 8th grade. I don't know if you guys have the same system here. So imagine being the only black kid, only black girl. I got called nigger several times. People thought I had a tail. When I got to high school, a few more black kids there. Most of them lived in Bolingbrook. I was one of the ones that lived in Downers Grove area. So the good thing was I was a track runner, so I could sprint like no other, right? 100, 200, all state. And I played the piano. I was a classical trained pianist. And I was really good in math. So I never fit in perfectly with anyone, but I always was just okay. My mom would always say to me as a kid, "You're not great at anything, but you're good at everything." And I never understood that until later. But I was always weird, different. No one accepted me. The white kids didn't accept me, the black kids didn't accept me because I sounded white. However, I would always get picked to be the leader. I was always the one who was chosen to pick the teams, and I didn't know why. So I just had to tell you guys that first. So, Chrishon Lampley, owner, CEO, negociant for Love Cork Screw. After high school, I went to Western Illinois University. I also went to Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, so I graduated with 2 degrees, 4 years. Back in my day, it was considered family consumer science. That's the elevation of home economics. So fashion business, at FIT I graduated business. During that time, New York was super cool to live, right? I'm meeting all the stars, having a great time at FIT. Dave Chappelle would come and actually do comedy in the basement, and there'd only be like 20 of us. So that's the day I grew up in. So graduated, of course, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, 96, spring. And during that time, I started feeling a little better about myself. I was being accepted. I was a sorority girl, getting good grades, everything was awesome. So my parents moved to Las Vegas. During that time, it was a big housing boom in the West Coast. My parents retired. They came out of ComEd, so my dad was president of minority purchasing, my mom was an accountant. So they graduated, they were really good. They did very, very well as they retired. So then I lived in Vegas for a little bit, worked for Christian Dior. I was working for high fashion houses. I came back to, I'm kind of cool. So then, and let me brag a little more. One of my had some great clients. So I came back to Michigan Avenue, and I worked for Escada. I worked for a little bit of every Omega, Brooks Brothers, all the big houses. GM had over a $3 million book. I could sell to anyone. Like I always say, I can sell a tire to a tire shop. But then I got sick of making money for everyone else. So I said, it's time for me to do something on my own. So I opened up an art gallery. The art gallery was in the South Loop, And it was called 3P's Art Lounge. Stood for painting, pottery, and photography. So myself, my business partner, sorority sister of mine, we opened up 3P's. We were the first African-American women to have an on-premise and off-premise license in the South Loop, so right off of 16th in Michigan. So awesome, we were at the front, the Tribune, everything, like we were just hitting. We had some of the best artists, one that's actually world-renowned now, Hebrew Brantley. We had some amazing artists, we had an amazing time. Well, 2011, we shut down. We shut down to an awful flood. And I always say the flood didn't end me, it started my story. So, remember I told you I grew up in Downers Grove, so I wasn't a city girl by any means. I was scared of Chicago. So, all of a sudden I'm living in the city, and people are falling in love with me at the bar. Mind you, a lot of them had no idea I was the owner. I'm just the bartender. Didn't tell anybody, but I had that smile. I grew up in theater. I was a singer, had perfect pitch. So I'm used to being on the stage. So in front of a bar, oh, I'm gonna get you to buy. I'm gonna get you to enjoy yourself. So politicians would come to the bar, you name it. So that's how Chicago fell in love with me. So we closed due to a bad flood. What happened? Condo owners flushed non-biodegradable baby wipes down the toilet. If you guys were around during the Fioretti days, he literally had to shut down the whole block. It smelled like sewer. It was a horrible situation. So we closed. My business partner and I, it was like a bad divorce because we ended everything. It was just a horrible, horrible time. But I said, my heart is still beating, so I have a purpose. So Love Cork Screw, that was created out of loss. But everyone was always calling me, texting me, wanting me to tell them where the cool bars were, the cool nightclubs. I always knew the best restaurants. So I said, I'm going to write a blog. And I'm an awful writer. I can speak, but I'm an awful writer. But I'm gonna write a blog because it was my way of letting go, and it's called Love Cork Screw. The love section were funny things that happened between two women that were single bar owners. The cork section were my varietal picks, and the screw section was a wild card talking about pop culture. Well, Love Cork Screw in 2013 turned into a wine brand. How? Because we won Chicago's best for the best wine list, and who wrote that list? I did in 2009. So I decided to do everything everyone told me I could not do. Young ladies, I'm doing everything everyone told me I could not do. So I decided to own my own wine company. How am I gonna do that? Well, remember I was in sales, I worked in distribution, I know how to talk to anybody. So I flew, drove, tasted. I called myself a foodie. And when I say foodie, some people say, oh, because you just like to eat. No, I was actually eating like sushi at 6, right? So I actually enjoyed different flavor profiles at a very young age. My dad exposed me to a lot. So that grew into Love Cork Screw. I did everything everyone told me I couldn't. Launched it, was the first African-American woman to ever have a wine brand in the entire Midwest. You can clap for that. So then, let's fast forward, 2021. I decided I'm just going to continue to do more. So I decided to have to launch the Clink Festival, which is now a nonprofit called the Sip and Empower Foundation. I'll explain that a little further. And then I also became the first brand to ever go super national. What does that mean? You see this picture of me? That's me at Target. And during that time, if you see that whole end cap, it was unheard of to have something like that. And it wasn't just wine, I had candles as well, so for people that didn't drink, no problem, you could still support Love Cork Screw. No worries. And there you have me at 2 million bottles as of 2026. Thank you. And that is the CEO of Mariano. So go buy Love Cork Screw at Mariano's. So, where I'm at, the past isn't a detour, it's a blueprint, right? You see my art gallery there. That turned into what? My brand identity. My hospitality from being in sales turned into an experience. And then distribution and sales turned into a community voice. So everything that I failed at ended up making me who I am. And just to talk a little further about Clink, I always say I haven't made it yet. However, I want to support anyone else who's even close to thinking about starting something. So I decided to start the Sip and Empower Foundation. And that, again, is a nonprofit that supports women and BIPOC in the wine and spirit brands, because we don't have an opportunity. So to date, 5 years in, over 5,000 people come and support. One of our biggest sponsors is United Airlines, Mariano's, and it has turned into something that I could never imagine. Globally, people actually fly in from Mexico. I have a Peace Coast brand that flies in. And I continue to say, it's more than a business, because it's who I am. And I lost my father February last year, February 15th. He was not only my #1 fan, but I was a daddy's girl. And people say Love Cork Screw, you know, you're in all these stores. You're in H-E-B, you're in Myers, you're in all these big stores. But we want you to have something a little more elevated. Sometimes people may think that's really fun, but the sommeliers and the real serious wine drinkers, they want something a little bigger from you. I said, okay, I've been holding on to something for a while. And when my father passed, I said, I know what it's gonna be called. My husband let me keep my maiden name because he said, your name is so strong, and it's Lampley. And I said, that's what the brand's gonna be called, the Lampley. So for anyone who enjoyed wine downstairs, you are drinking exclusively the Lampley, dedicated to my father, Louis Lampley, who was a huge advocate for supporting minority and BIPOC-owned brands. Most of these big construction companies that you see was because of my father. So, shout out to my daddy. And like I always say, I'm not gonna talk about something being possible, I'm gonna tell you about something that's been done. And it's been done with me having nothing but weirdness and grit and being an oddball and not accepted. Okay, so Vino Volo. If you guys travel, you're gonna go to Vino Volo and you can drink Love Cork Screw. We won West Coast King. You can go to Meijer, H-E-B, Target. If you travel through Midway Airport, you go to Concourse A. I am the exclusive wine for Concourse A. So if you have drank anything in Concourse A, you drank Love Cork Screw. And for young ladies, you might not understand these certifications down here yet, but trust me, when you get in business, you will. I'm a WBE, MBE, HubZone, WOSB, ACDBE. All of that is going to mean a lot to you, and I want you to research that, because no, it's not about getting an opportunity because you beg to be there. And it affects me every time. It's being able to get a chance to be at the table. No one's buying my wine because it's black, but because I'm able to get to be at that table, my wine is blind tasted. So then they're like, wait a minute, it's you? So trust me, it's not somebody giving me anything except for a shot. Lastly, I say, this time it's yours. So you see a few different pictures, right, of my journey. Photo shoot I did in honor of my father, because I was his princess. There's pictures of me with influencers, pictures of a great friend of mine in Martha's Vineyard, who's serving the Lampley Riesling, some of my staff. And this is the end, but I just want you to close your eyes literally for 10 seconds. Close your eyes for me, please. And I want you to think of your people, and if you don't like closing your eyes, just put your head down a little bit. Think of your people, your brand, your movement, and see it as real. And then open your eyes, and I want you to know that what you saw is not a dream. It's just a plan you haven't started yet. So trust, if I can do it, in a wine world, I'm less than 1% of the entire industry. There is only 60 African-American women that are negociants, vineyard owners, or winery owners out of 111,000 in the world. And I'm a girl from Downers Grove. So if anyone can do it, you can do it. So I say to you, please continue in your weirdness, because your weirdness, the craziness, the racism I had put to me made me strong. My dad made me strong. He always failed as an entrepreneur, but he cried when he watched me do a TED Talk. He was in the audience crying because he knew that I made it. My mother, to this day, she's like, wait a minute, didn't your wine get an Obama Center? Let me brag real quick. So while I was on the plane, y'all, and I'll be done, I know my time is up, but I gotta brag. So while I was on the plane, I get a text message. What do I get a text message from? The Obama Center. So the Lampley Pinot Grigio, which I hope you guys enjoy downstairs, and the Cabernet Sauvignon will be served at the Obama Center. And I end with saying, for that was my father. So thank you.
Yeah.